So we cave in yesterday, and the guide, who spoke maybe a couple of words of English, he kept saying in Spanish, "¿Quieres más aventura?" Do you want more adventure? So I kept nodding my head and saying, yeah, I want more adventure. So he'll send me up one way and it'll be a tighter gap or a higher rock to climb over or a tighter space to fit in. And yeah, at some points it got a little bit crazy. And then I remember we stood there and he said like in Spanish again, do you want like really more adventure? And I said, yeah, of course, like let's go for it. So he pointed and he told me to go straight and he told me to go right. And then he said, you'll figure it out when you get there. So I'm like, really? Like, in serio? I kept saying in serio to him, like, seriously? Because this gap was so small, like, my head just about fit through this gap. So we're caving, and I go down this gap, and I'm squeezing through, and my arms are out, and my body is scraping through this gap. And then I saw the left turn, so I come to the left turn, then the right turn, sorry. So as I turn right, my whole body seemed to start to fit down there. So I'm going through this cave and I'm slipping through, and I had to put my arms out at one point because it was so tight. My back was touching one side of the wall, my chest was touching the other side, and my head was turned. So I'm scraping through this cave yesterday, and my God, it was so tight. And then I got through to the other side, and when I come through to the end of this, I say walkway, but it wasn't, this gap, I managed to come through another gap where I had to almost lay down and get on my hands and knees. And I'm not joking, we're talking maybe 2, maximum 3 foot high, and I'm just laying there in this cave, and I start to panic, you know. I start to get like claustrophobic, and I can feel my heartbeat start to race up with itself. So now I'm laying there in a cave with rock or sand on one side, rock this side, and I've got nowhere to go, and I'm panicking, and I'm starting to ask the guide, is everything okay? And there's no answer because he's gone off with the others. So I'm just laying there on my own in a cave, and I'm like, how the fuck do I get out of this place? And like I say, my heartbeat's going, I start to get palpitations, and my mind instantly goes to that, shit, you're gonna die, shit, you're never getting out of this place, and that's it. And my mind started to run away, so I instantly had to pull myself back to centre and ground myself and say, no, Ryan, calm down, focus on your breathing. So I focused on my breathing, and I started to breathe through my nose, out through my mouth, very slow. So anytime that I get into a sticky situation or an anxiety-inducing activity, I always breathe through my nose as long as I can, hold it for a few seconds, and then breathe out almost like you're breathing through a straw, like, and then just let it all out, and just do that maybe 6 times, and it just really controls your heart and your breath. So I've done that a few times, and I got back to centre and control my breath, and I'm just laying there thinking, what the fuck do I do? So I started to make my way out, and I started pushing myself more, and bearing in mind I think we're about 150 metres below the surface in this dark cave, and I've got a head torch on that's barely as bright as a candle, and I'm laying there, and then I start to drag myself out, and I managed to get myself to a gap where I could sort of kneel, I guess. I was kneeling there, and then I saw a hole that goes down, and I literally had to slide down this hole, and then as I slid down, I looked to my right, and the gap opened up to maybe like 4 foot high, and I saw another one of the guys that was on my tour, and I asked him, like, where are we? He goes, I don't know. So we made our way up and then down, and this tunnel was just never ending, and it was crazy, this cave. So I'm not going to speak too much more about the cave now. What I want to talk to you about is what I learned and the lessons that you can learn from me when you find yourself in a sticky situation like this, and how to get your mindset right when you're in any, say, potentially negative or dangerous or fearful situation in your life. Because what happened to me, I'm laying there, like I say, I've got a cave either side of me, I feel like I'm stuck. In my head, instantly, I use that word, I am stuck. And my mind went to, you're going to die, you're not going to get out, you're going to get injured. And that's what happens. Our minds, our brains are naturally negativity biased, where they always focus on the negative straight away. Like, we're laying there or we're standing there, we're doing something in our lives, and our brain instantly goes to that negativity, because our brains are millions of years old, and our brain's got one job, which is to keep us alive at all times. So any time that it feels that it's going into sort of danger or a potentially deadly situation, it goes straight to that negative. But just know that you can't always control your first thought, but you can always control your second. So any time that you're doing anything that's a bit fearful or a bit scary or a bit unknown or new, and your brain tells you, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't listen to your brain. Just change your thought, because you can't choose your first thought, but you can always replace it with a more positive or a more beneficial thought. So that's number one. And number two, I'd say, in a, say, anxiety-inducing situation where you feel fearful, always control your breath, because the breath is the most important thing. And, you know, like for me, I just took in 6 deep breaths, 6 through the nose and out through the mouth, like I say, like it's breathing through a straw, because it's nice and smooth and it just calms your heartbeat down and it chills you right out. And it's been proven, actually, so look it up if you need to. So the breath, like I say, is the most important thing. And if you don't believe me, try this. Try not to drink water or anything for one day and see how you feel. And then try not to eat food for one day and see how you feel. And then try to not breathe for one day and let me know how you get on, because if you don't believe your breath is the most important thing, well, that's just proving it. Because even me, when I done some breath work a few years back, and I got into the best breath work at the time, and I managed to hold my breath for about 3 minutes, and that was the longest I ever held my breath for. Any more than that, wave goodbye. So that's how important the breath is. But yeah, like I say, our brains are so naturally negativity biased, and it was needed for those years ago when we did actually live in caves, when we was cavemen and women. We needed that, say, negativity biased brain, because there was always that imminent threat of danger. Like when you walked out the cave as a caveman or woman, you never know, there could have been like a fucking saber-toothed tiger around the corner about to bite your head off. So you had to be alert at all times and say, always think of the worst just in case, because if you didn't, well, again, it would be good night for you. So we've now dragged that through into the modern day and age as humans that we are now. So we don't need to be negativity biased all the time. And usually the brain stops you from achieving great things. And the brain is a liar, so you need to tell your brain to shut the fuck up sometimes. But yeah, what else do I want to say? So with that, like I mentioned about the breathing and about the negativity, and then, yeah, it's just remaining calm at all times. And sometimes it's difficult to remain calm, but just know that in life, we get to choose whether we react or respond to a situation. But just know that reaction creates captivity, but true freedom lies within a thoughtful response. So if you can think about the situation that you're currently in and say, right, what's the best thing that I can do in this moment? Because we can only control the controllables. What is the best thing that I can do in this situation that I'm in, and how's it going to help me get out and through to the other side, whatever situation that is? And then once you've thought about it, give yourself literally 30 seconds, 1 minute, 3 minutes. Just think about something before you respond or reply or react to a situation, because sometimes we can do or say things without even realising we're hurting somebody else. And look, 2 wrongs don't make a right, and if you want to go out to hurt people, it's only going to be reflected back to you in the end. So just know that you need to respond to into a situation because it's going to help you advance in the future, and it's going to be more beneficial for you and growing through whatever situation that is. So yeah, like I say, just any situation where you feel like you're scared, you're anxious, you're having a panic attack, always control the breathing. Always change your thinking. Always respond to the situation. Don't react, because when we react, we can make ourselves a lot worse. And just know that our brains do lie to us so much, and quite often they paint a picture in here that is always the worst case scenario, and it's usually a million times worse than it's ever turns out to be in the end. So just try and change your thinking when you do think of negative thoughts in your life. And when you find yourself in those situations, just remember to remain calm, because the person that can remain calm in any situation always wins. So that's what I've got to say for today, even. And thank you for coming on. I can see a few familiar faces, and I appreciate you for all being here. And I look forward to catching you on the next live. So speak soon.